Everyone wants to live an inspired life, yet so many people search for happiness following the footsteps of peers and taking advice from people who have different values and outcomes to which they're searching. There are people born into wealth, graduated from the best universities in the world, and there are people who have none of that and yet are living extraordinary lives full of fulfillment and reward. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and strategies that allow you to question the status quo and think freely, so you can design your life and be who you want to be. We get one life. Time is our most valuable asset. I believe that when we're free and able to focus on meaningful work, we become better human beings. This is Always Free, and I'm your host, Jason Graystone.
Welcome to the leading podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jason on social media and subscribe to the Jason Graystone YouTube channel for weekly videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to the weekly newsletter to receive frequent educational content and action steps to help you design your life so you can be who you want to be. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.
Well, welcome back to the podcast, guys. I hope you had a good week so far. If this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, you are in the number one place for financial empowerment and wealth creation. You won't regret it. But if this is the first episode you've ever listened to, I highly recommend you go back to number one and start there. Trust me, you won't regret it. It will be a journey of a lifetime. So make sure you go and check out number one if this is the first time you're listening. But I appreciate you here. If someone's recommended this podcast, tag me on social. Let me know who recommended this. Let me know so I can, share that on my social as well. Instagram at J_Graystone, Twitter Jason Graystone, Facebook Jason Graystone, and so on. So this week I wanted to talk a little bit about how you can really tangibly measure your value on financial freedom and wealth building. I also want to talk a little bit about the difference between financial freedom and wealth building, because there's slight differences there, financial independence and wealth building, and I want to share with you a little story, and I want to talk to you about, give you some action steps on how you can go about shifting your values towards financial freedom and wealth building if if the score is quite low. I'm going to show you how to score that thing. And I want to start by saying that this week I had something really cool happen that I haven't shared with you yet. And there's times in life where you have these realizations that things that you did as kids, things that you did as children, that you remember and you see as a common thread that have been happening all throughout your life. And when you have these discoveries, you realize, I've always been guided towards this, or I've always been interested in this. Because from age 0 to 7, that's really when our character development is solidified. When we're 7 years old, any of our beliefs, anything that's been injected into us sticks with us. We form our personality by around age 7, and anything after that is stuck. It's set in stone. So what we tend to value most is what we see as a void in our younger years. If we see a lot of arguing around money, or we see the bailiffs knocking at the door, in my case, and we've never got electricity, and we're living in a flat on our own, and it's dark, and the bailiffs are knocking at the door, and everyone's moaning about money, you're going to have by the time you're 7, you're going to have a value on the money, right? You're going to think, wow, I'm never going to, I don't want to be in this position. And you're either going to go one of two ways. You're either going to have a really high value on money, or you're going to take the other stance, which is money's evil, right? And it takes, it can set your personality. It can set your values. Anyway, early last week, I had this memory of when I used to have this hobby, right? And there was this place called Abbey Mills. So I used to go to karate every Saturday. And then we used to, my cousin's dad used to run this bouncy castle. at a little place called Abbey Mills, and it was an arts and crafts fair type thing with a little market and some food and things like that. And it was in a place called Merton, just near Collier's Wood, between Morden and Collier's Wood. I don't know if you guys remember it. If you're from the UK and you remember The Bill, a lot of The Bill was filmed around, the TV programme was filmed around the Abbey Mills. And it was a nice, really, really nice little arts and crafts place that I remember as a kid. Anyway, I used to go there after karate on a Saturday, and my nan used to give me a £2 coin, a gold £2 coin. Back then they were just like a solid gold, big coin, £2, and that was my pocket money. She used to give me this pocket money. And we used to go there, my friend, my cousin, and we used to go to Abbey Mills, and they would buy like ice creams and sweets and all this kind of stuff. And I used to go into like the market hall, and I used to search and seek out this particular stand, this stall, this old lady who had all of these old coins and foreign currencies and notes. And I spent all of my pocket money. I was 7 years old. I used to spend all of my pocket money on foreign currency. I used to buy notes and coins and limited edition currencies, the Disney dollar note, and I had all these different notes and coins from way back from the 1900s, 1900 onwards. And I collected this. I collected it for over a year. Every week I would go there and spend my pocket money on foreign currency. Now, for a 7-year-old boy, that's quite a strange pastime, quite a strange hobby. Anyway, I've always known about this, but it didn't really come to the surface until the other day when I was thinking, wow. Today I'm very, very focused on money. I trade foreign currency day in, day out. One of my primary income sources is trading the financial markets. And I'm buying and selling currency. And I thought, wow, I've bought and sold foreign currency since I was 7 years old. So I rang my mum. I contacted my mum and my dad and my stepdad, and I said, look, Remember I used to collect the currencies, and I used to put it in that plastic wallet? And they said, yeah. And I said, is there any chance that it's stuffed in a box somewhere in the loft? It'd really mean a lot to me if I could get that back. Anyway, a few days later, they rang me and said, we've found it. So I went and collected it, and sure enough, it's in the original wallet, and I was reunited with my old foreign currency collection, which was just one of those moments where my hairs stood on end. It was a real realization that this has always been a common thread. I've always had a fascination with money and foreign money and the exchange of different currencies, and it was just one of those moments. And the reason I wanted to share that with you before the crux of this particular episode is because I want to talk about value of money. Quite clearly, I've always had a high value on money, right? I've told you the story of that. I've told you the story of when I was on the estate, on the steps, picking up on people's negativity towards money. Then I told you the story about the car wash that summer when I wanted the BMX. And I've told you about, my mission from when I was 21, 22 years old to just become financially free and put a massive focus and effort and an intention on becoming financially free by the time I was 30. And, that's been a massive part of my life. And I talk about it every single day to this day. And I still deal with foreign currencies, and I still invest, and I'm still tracking my net worth. I'm still looking at my money, and I'm looking how I'm spending my money. And it's a massive focus of mine, and it's something that I love. I love to do it. And it's something I teach because I know how important it is, and I know that you guys listening to this are getting value from that, and it's changing your lives. So it's been a massive, massive value of mine, and it still is. Now, what I do see is a lot of people saying that they want to be financially free, but they don't necessarily have the same results. And I wanted to kind of rein it back a little bit this episode and say and remind you that we all achieve what we value, right? Well, if someone values a six-pack body and they've got a really strong high value on having a six-pack body, They will need no motivation to go to the gym. They'll be in the gym every day. They'll have a six-pack. They'll be eating healthily. They'll be, burning enough calories. They'll have that. They'll just have everything right so that they achieve that thing. People who have a high value on family, they'll have a secure family who've, all the house is looking lovely, the food's on the table, everyone's comfortable, everyone's got clothes on their back, and everything's looked after in the house and the home. And people who value, socializing, they'll always be out socializing. People who value music, they'll be playing music, they'll be learning instruments. And people who value wealth building and financial independence achieve it. And that's because they've got a strong focus on it. Now, I see a lot of people saying they want something, but it's based on what other people want. So they're looking up to someone. And because it's not a strong enough value, it's not a high enough value for them, they don't achieve it, or they make it very difficult for themselves to achieve it. So what they do is they beat themselves up. And what I want to do is just give you a little example, a little exercise you can do. And this exercise could slap you in the face, but it's something you can do to really go, wow, do you know what? I don't really value wealth building as much as I thought. So before I do that, I want to just explain the differences between financial independence and wealth building. Okay, as you've heard me say before, there's two real main stages of financial freedom. The first one's financial independence, and that's where you're able to cover your living costs regardless of a proprietor, someone to answer to, a boss, someone like that. A person being, a codependency between a partner or a wife or a husband or a chaperone or someone, whoever, right? A guardian. Then there's the position, which means the position, a specific role that you have to fulfill every day, meaning you can't change, there's no flexibility, there's no freedom there. Or a place, a geographical location. And once you can do that, you're financially independent. You're very nimble. You can go around the world and you can generate the income to cover the costs that you need for your lifestyle expenses and the experiences that you need for you and your loved ones. And that's financial independence, right? You don't necessarily need a lot of money to do that. You just need to develop the right types of income streams. So in order to do that, you have to have a focus on that. The difference with the second stage is financial freedom requires you to maintain the phase one income regardless of the economy, which means the market can go up and down and do what it likes, and you're still generating the same average income return year on year on year. The expertise in your brain, you can lose your mind and still generate that income. Your energy in your physical body, so you can be in a wheelchair or you can be bed bound and still generate the income. Or your existence, meaning that you can actually die and still generate that income. Now, to achieve financial independence, that's relatively easy if you've got the right focus, and it can be done in a short space of time. The next stage, financial freedom, comes from wealth building. Okay, and wealth building means accumulating enough money so that you can live off of returns, put that money to work and live off of returns passively. Now, that isn't, and when I say passive, I'm talking about pure passive. I'm talking about having that money managed by someone else, giving you a very low return per year, okay, because of you have to pay management fees and it's low risk and it's more certain. The returns are more certain. It's more like a fixed income rather than a volatile income, and that is going to require you to build wealth. And what I mean by build wealth is accumulate a lot of money. Okay, put a lot of money into your wealth building. Now, the focus on that is there for me, and the focus on that is there for many, many people who are on that path or achieved it already. But there's a very easy way to see how much you value wealth building, and I'll show you how. All you have to do is think about how much money you've earned in your entire lifetime. Okay, legally or illegally, backhanders, dividends, or salary, or maybe you've got some, maybe you've I don't know, sold something you've made and brought in some income that way. Maybe you've got some returns or some dividend yields. Maybe you've got a YouTube income. But just add up as much of all the income that you can remember. Doesn't have to be spot on, but a rough ballpark figure of how much you've earned, okay? And then what I want you to do is write that number down on a piece of paper. So let's just say that over your lifetime you've earned £1 million, right? Now, stick £1 million on that bit of paper. The next thing I want you to do is write down how much you've got to your name, your net worth. And I'm going to include your equity in your home for this. I'm not talking about, liquid net worth. I'm talking about your net worth. So in other words, how much you've managed to keep of all of that money, that income that you've got now. So your equity in your home, any cash, any bonds, any mutual funds, any index funds, any liquidity that you've got to your name, anything that you own. What is the worth of all that? What is the value of all of that? What is your net worth? Write that number down next to the first number. And then lastly, the next thing I want you to do once you've got those two numbers is work out the percentage of how much you've earned, how much you've brought in over your lifetime so far, and how much you've managed to keep, which is your net worth. How much you've still managed to keep, because everything else you've been given away, right? So let's just say that you've got £1 million over your lifetime, you've earned £1 million over your lifetime, and you've got 50 grand to your name. Well, that's 5%. Okay, now 5%, is that really a lot? I would say that's quite a low value on wealth building. I wouldn't say that's a very high value on wealth building. So just by working that out, you can see quite easily what your score is, right? How much you value wealth building. Now, as you're writing this down, if you don't really value it, let's just say that you've got 50 grand out of $1 million, you might be saying things, coming up with excuses in your head, like, oh yeah, but I had to pay for that wedding. But then we had this thing come up and I had to do this. I had to buy that house and then I had to do this and that and the other. And you'll make up excuses. That's part and parcel. Whereas the people who truly value wealth building, when they have to go and make those decisions or things come up, they weigh it up and they still put wealth building first. That's the difference. So it's a real good thing to do. It's a real good exercise to do. It slaps you in the face a little bit, but it will give you a tangible figure. It will give you it will really make you understand just how much you value wealth building over what you thought you valued wealth building. And now's the time to get started. If it's a low score, now's the time to get your butt in gear. And I just want to talk about the biggest reason that I see people not trying. And they're thinking too big, right? They're thinking way, way too big. They're thinking about some huge one-day goal that they're going to get to one day. And then they're looking at themselves today and thinking, there's such a contrast here. I've got no idea how to get there. So they never start. It's always, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll look into that next week. I'll do it into I was speaking to a couple of people the other week, and they've had all these ideas for years and they've never made progress. Okay. And the reason being is because they have these big, massive goals and they never take the time to break it down and start working on it. They never put themselves first. But more importantly, they never break the thing down to know what to start working on first. So consider this. Let's just say you've got this big, big, big goal, okay? And instead of thinking about that big, big, big goal, think about 5 years ahead and start thinking about where in that goal you would like to be in 5 years, right? And then once you've got that 5-year goal, then ask yourself, what have I got to do this year in order to be on track to hit that 5-year goal if I do this year on year on year for 5 years? And then once you've got that, ask yourself, what can I do this month in order to be on track, if I do this every month, to hit that yearly goal, for me to then be on track for my 5-year goal if I do that year on year on year. And then once you've done that, ask yourself, what can I do this week in order to be on track for my monthly goal if I do this for 4 weeks, in order to be on track for 12 months for my yearly goal, in order to be on track for my year on year on year goal for 5 years to hit my 5-year goal to then be on track for my big goal, right? And then once you've done that, guess what? What can I do today? What can I do today that will move me in the direction of my weekly goal, my monthly goal, my yearly goal, my 5-year goal, towards my big 1-day goal? And just by doing that, I'm giving yourself permission to go, I'm going to put myself first, and I'm going to book this in my calendar and work on this now, just like it's an appointment, right? The most important appointment I have each day is with myself. You look at my calendar, and my time is in my calendar first as an appointment. It's an appointment so that if I integrate my calendar with any other calendar systems or meeting systems, it's blocked out. People literally can't block that time. It never gets overtaken by someone who's gonna, try and ask me to do something instead. I don't care who it is. You get your stuff done first, and just by doing that, you're inevitably gonna reach your big goal. So that's my advice. Really just understand, put a stake in the ground as to how much you really, really value wealth building and financial freedom. And then give yourself permission to break your goal down, set some time off just to plan this stuff. Just plan it. Take a day off just to plan. Today, I'm just going to plan my breaking down of goals. And then I'm going to put all this in my calendar, and I'm going to then day by day work on my goal of getting there. And if you're in the Tears of Freedom program, I'm going to give you an amazing tool just to do that. And some of the members have had absolutely astounding results and made rapid progress just by doing this, life-changing progress. So do that. And if you do that, I promise you'll be living the life that you want much closer and much nearer than you think. So that's it for this episode, guys. If you got value from this, please share it around. And until next week, have a great rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you then.
Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.